Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Fiction Friday. I'm obsessed with this hat. Do you love it? If you don't tell me I'm sensitive. I'll cry. Anyway, we're going to continue reading another short story from my anthology of dystopian fairy tales titled Ladies of the Lily. If you want more of these short stories, go back on the Fantasy Fiction Friday playlist. I do post daily clips on Facebook, and it's also available in digital on KU, or you can buy a physical copy over on Amazon at my author page, Genevieve Gravel. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get into the story, shall we? King Bernard IV, Siobhan's Tale. Siobhan, I heard the shrill voice of my sister call for me. I was hiding. Well, taking a break in the shelter and comfort of the long silver blades of grass. A lock of hair stuck to my face with the sweat of a hard day's work. We weren't even half finished with it. I knew what she wanted and why she was calling me, and I half considered not responding. But that would be a bad idea. But the best idea at the same time. Picking wheat off the stem was daunting work. While I was not heavy by any means, I lacked the strength to flutter to the top of the wisps and pull them off all day long. I wished I could have another job, a different job, no job. I wondered what the princesses did all day. Did they work or study? I could imagine them sitting in their cool rooms, lounging and eating, laughing and playing like young girls should, or so I thought. But that was a fairy tale, play and laughter that filled the air. But they did live that life. I hope they did. Coveted it. I popped my head up over the tips of the grass to respond to my older sister, Saxton. She was the eldest of us 4 girls. The king had 4 girls as well. All the Fae talked of was when was he going to have a boy. They put such importance on the king siring a son. Stupid. What could a boy do that a girl could not? I was the second youngest. And unlike the king, my father would not be fathering a son, or any other children for that matter. Keeping food on the table was all he could manage to do. We all, even my younger sister Jules, worked to help. And she was only 10, a mere 4 years younger than I. And we had not always been so desperate. When Mama got sick, Jules was sent to the fields to work with the rest of us. Perhaps the father had not spent so much of our rations on meat, we could afford for her to not work. Maybe then she could play or take lessons like my older sisters had, but that was before everything changed. I know Mama's illness shouldn't make me sad. I feel angry. I feel angry all the time, and I'm tired of it. Mama could not even get out of bed. She never left the house or made dinner anymore. She complained that her head pounded and her tummy ached, and she would vomit up most everything she ate. I should feel bad for her. I should offer more to help. The truth be told, it made me angry and resentful. I could hardly stand to even look at her, much less take her something to eat and fight with her to even get the lightest of broths down her throat. Father, he explained how it could be anybody and how it wasn't her fault. Of course it was not. But all I could see was her not even trying to fight the illness, and it seemed that she put more energy into fighting each and every bite than she would have put into making dinner. She had been the best cook. I missed her food. Missed her bedtime stories. I missed her. I'm over here. I popped my head up, announcing myself to Saxton. Saxton was the most beautiful fae I had ever seen. The most beautiful in all the realm, for all I knew. She looked like Mama before she became gaunt and frail, with blackened teeth and eerie bluish tone to her skin. She was hard to look at now. It scared me. They all said I looked like Mama. I thought Saxton did more. I was filled with envy for my sister, and I hoped one day I would fill out, have an hourglass shape with luxurious hair that flowed in waves to my waist. I don't think that age was going to change the texture of my hair, though. I had stringy, thin strands of green hair. Didn't glisten or shine. Certainly not flow in waves. I pulled it back out of my face and left the shelter of my hiding place. Back to work. Struggling to find the motivation and strength. Where have you been? Saxton disciplined me. Just because she looked like Mama doesn't mean she was Mama. Taking a break. I'm only 14, I spit back. Why should I hold back my anger or frustration? It wasn't fair, the amount of responsibility that had been put on me. If I were a princess, I thought, walking through the entrance, then turning to the right to go home after the days. My dress stuck to my body, dirty, filthy, dirt under my broken nails, and a lock of hair stuck to my face. No matter how many times I pushed it away, it would always find its way back and stick to my cheek, annoying me. Everything annoyed me. I stopped as always, to view the portrait of King Fleur that hung in the grand hall at the bottom of the stairs. He was so beautiful. I hoped that one day I would meet a man so lovely, sweet, and kind, and he would whisk me away from the life I was born into, up to the top branches, and he would love me and cherish me and spoil me with all the finest things life had to offer. He would treat me like a princess, and I would never have to pick the spikes off the wheat again. I would be clean and wear beautiful things and lounge all day and laugh and play. Hello, young lady, Wilbur said. And Wilbur was my father's friend. They drank and played darts or dice most nights. He was 40, with a bloated belly and balding head, and he licked his lips as his gaze slowly clung to my body from head to toe and back up again. Gross. I felt like a snail had slithered up on me, leaving me dirty, sticky, icky. It wasn't from the hard day's work. It was him. Ugh, I hated him. I need to shower. That was the wrong thing to say. He was probably thinking of me in the shower. I hated it here. Me first, Saxton called. As the third born, I would be the third bathed, assuming Father and Mama would skip theirs like they usually did, leaving me to bathe in cold, dirty, dingy water. And poor Jules, my younger sister, most nights she would go without bathing, refusing that cold, nasty water. No can blame her. Father asked for an audience with me, as we all readied for work. Relief came over me. That meant I didn't have to try to get Mama anything to eat that morning. Maybe she was feeling better. Maybe he had wanted me to go to school and not work anymore. Maybe so many things, anything other than what he had to say would have been better. I would rather have died on that very day than face what it was he had to say. Wilbur and I have come to an arrangement. Wilbur, what a stupid name, like Bernard. Who thought of these names? What had happened to names like Rain, Fleur? Now, while he and Father had drank and played games, Wilbur, had the audacity to ask my father, ask him for my hand. I didn't understand. What did he mean by hand? Father's words washed over me like an ice bath, leaving me shocked, stunned, in silence, fighting to understand. He wanted to marry me? He asked for my father to let me be his bride? He had to have known how I felt, how Wilbur made me feel. A bile rose in my throat. Tears burned in my eyes. No, I declared there was no way I was going to be that man's wife. Why would father even consider it? Why were we having this conversation? What was he thinking? He's offered to pay for your mother's medical treatments. He can save her life. He has enough to care for you and for her. You won't have to work in the fields ever again, baby, he said. Baby, yes. I was a baby. Father had wanted me to marry a man his age, a gross, disgusting, bloated. Ugh, the thought burning in the back of my throat, and I swallowed hard to force it down, but the burn lingered, threatening to force the contents of my stomach up and out all over the kitchen. She ate most of it today, Saxton said, entering the kitchen. Father and I fell silent, locking eyes. The tension between us was palpable. My body vibrated with fear and anger. The need to leave overpowered me, and I grew shaky, and the tears that had threatened showed their betraying faces. They didn't slowly drip from my eyes. They flowed, burning my face, burying my soul. What's going on? The smile quickly faded from Saxon's face. Her disposition dampened. Her shoulders slumped. Concern crossed her eyes, noticing the tears that stained mine. We can get Mama medicine, Father announced. Saxon's smile returned. Glee filled her body. I have to marry Wilbur. I spoiled her momentary happiness. Confusion surrounding her was visible. She realized what Father was saying. She's 14, she screamed at Father, and the walls shook from the sheer volume of anger that was released in her voice. Mama began to call from her deathbed. My two other sisters came to see what the commotion had been, and they gave their opinion at decibels that could have been heard from the highest. I covered my ears. As my knees grew weak, my vision darkened. I fell to the floor, pulled my knees to my chest, holding my hands tightly to my ears. Shut up. Stop it. Stop it, I whispered. They had all been arguing and fighting over me, but not one of them saw me on the floor, begging for it to stop, for it to end. My family had arguments and disagreements many times, but not like this. And I didn't know how to handle it. I was scared. My baby sister was scared. Her crying had become frantic. Stop it! I screamed. I'll do it. I'll marry him. You're a child, Saxon said once again, disciplining me as if it was her decision to make. And she stepped to me and took a stance of dominance in front of me, and I whimpered, please, save Mama. Then let me do it, she offered. He only wants Siobhan, Father explained. It has to be her, no one else. Mama attended my wedding. She danced for a single dance. She even ate cake. 2 years later, my belly was swollen from carrying his baby. I hated him. I wished I had not. I wished I could see him as a savior. But Mama was well. She had come back to work, and we ate dinner that she prepared once a week. She was still the best cook, and he had saved her. But I could not see my way of thinking that he could be a savior. I loathed him, and I loathed my father, and I loathed my mother. They had made me a commodity, nothing more. I grew up young and knew things I shouldn't have known. No one should have known at all, ever. My innocence had been stolen. My childhood was taken. My dreams dashed. And I crossed the aisle, sprinkling crushed flower buds in front of Saxton as she walked to her own impending doom. Father had sold Saxton as well. And she gained him enough to send my baby sister to school and get her out of the field. But it wasn't a happy wedding. Not a happy moment for Saxton. She had not been loved or cherished by the man that she was to wed. He was worse than Wilbur, if that was possible. I held my sweet baby girl, her chubby little legs kicking and her cherub cheeks rosy, giggling as I threw her in the air, and her little wings fluttered wildly as she fell back into my hands. I loved her so much. I had given birth the same day as the queen, who had finally had a son, a new king, one that would rule over us all. Sadness, ever so familiar despite the joy that she had brought into my desperately lonely life, resurfaced. Sadness in knowing that she too would one day be sold. She would grow to be a woman. Women had become a commodity, starting with me. So yes, these are dystopian fairy tales. And with that, they are very disturbing. And as I've said before in past videos, I do take muse from actual historical events, and many times, many eras, through many areas of the world, children have been sold into marriage. In the Great Oak, the realm of the Great Oak, Siobhan was the first. And I should have put a trigger warning at the beginning. Hopefully I'll remember to put the little warning sign. So anyway, thank you so much for being here today. Next time we are going to move on with the reign of Bernard V, Nicole's tale. Let's see what fuck shit we can get into. Until then, remember, you're valid, you're worthy, you're loved. Bye.